This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Seasonal Outlook, taking us from August through November of 2016. Going over some of the contents of what we will be looking at, recent weather conditions, looking at our current drought, looking at the current state of the fuels, as well as some of the climatic signals we have in terms of whether it's El Nino, La Nina, or neither. We'll look at expected weather changes from some of our climate experts that go from August all the way through November. And we will put all of that together to give you the fire potential outlook, taking us from August through November 2016. First off, we'll look at recent weather trends. Precipitation for July on the left. You can see with those warm colors a much drier than normal signal for a good portion of the Great Basin, especially much of Nevada and into Utah. Some exceptions will be into far western sections of Idaho, north of Boise, and into far southern areas, which is typical due to monsoonal influences across southeast Utah and to far southern Nevada. Temperature is not really too outstanding, a little warmer than normal given by the yellow to orange colors, anywhere from 1 to 2, maybe 3 degrees warmer than normal in the southern areas, a little cooler than normal given by the shades of green here in the north. Taking a look at our current drought situation on the left-hand side, you can see that the most drastic issue would be across western Nevada, where we have severe drought conditions, otherwise abnormally dry to near normal as you head further to the east. No significant drought issues. On the right-hand side here, the drought outlook and the trend as we go through the next several months. You can see that here in the brown across western Nevada, that drought will continue and possibly even intensify. Not expecting any significant drought issues further to the east. So taking a look at our current fuel conditions through the end of July, we'll start with the 100-hour fuels, which better exemplify the situation in some of our lighter fuels in our brush and in some grasses even. And you can see that they're most critical across the northern two-thirds of Nevada, heading into southwest portions of Idaho and into northwest Utah as well. A bit higher fuel moistures as you head further to the east and northeast from there. Taking a more individualized look at our ERC conditions from individual stations. Of particular note, the purple is the 97th percentile or higher, so basically near record or at record level ERCs can be found through a large portion of the area, scattered about parts of Idaho, even getting into north central Idaho, into parts of Utah as well as parts of northwestern Nevada. Where conditions are most benign is in our southern areas where they've had some monsoonal thunderstorms recently. ERCs there have been dropping significantly, but a large portion of the area remains very dry to critically or near record dry. Taking a look at some of our fuel charts across our area, across our Idaho Zone Predictive Service Unit 2, which is well up there into the north central portions of Idaho, you can see that ERC levels are flirting with record levels. Across a good portion of the Wasatch Mountains, especially the northern portion of Utah, again, even though it took a nosedive with some showers recently, near record levels. Very dry across the Sierra Front areas as you head into western Nevada. Even though they took a dip with some recent showers, it did come with a lot of lightning and some large fire starts. Where conditions are most benign are across the Arizona Strip and also with similar conditions to southern Utah, where you can see the monsoonal influence recently has driven those ERCs downward. Another thing that we look at, any large-scale climate signals going forward from here, El Nino or La Nina conditions. And so looking here at our sea surface temperatures, which indicate whether we're in an El Nino or La Nina condition, you can see the colder water starting to develop across the equatorial Pacific. That is indicative of a La Nina that's starting to develop. The El Nino that we've been under the influence of for the past year and a half is officially gone, and the trend will be towards a La Nina as we go through later the next several months. And looking at some long-range climate models telling us where the La Nina may eventually go, as we see from this initialization point through the late summer, fall, and winter months by October, November, December. The summation of a lot of the models take us into the first or weak phase of the La Nina. Some of the models dip down and brush some of the moderate sections of La Nina, and this is a strong La Nina here. One or two outlier models take us in that direction, but until we see more of the models trending that way, we will probably stick with the forecast of a weak to maybe low and moderate La Nina as we head into the winter months, which will have its own weather implications. So when we put all those pieces together, the drought, the fuels, the weather, the La Nina stage, and some of the characteristics that come with it, we look at expected weather conditions from August through November, and temperature on the upper bar there from August to September indicates a little cooler than normal signal here in August across the Pacific Northwest and into California. There could be some upper level low pressure as being fairly dominant, but it looks like the Four Corners high pressure ridge will shift into the southeastern states with very warm conditions through there. We'll focus on August and September because that's the remaining core of our fire season. We'll go down to precipitation, and even though it's cooler than normal, we're seeing a dry signal here across Idaho and far northwest Nevada. Those are some very dry areas. So any existing fires that we have could continue through August and even into September. Still a drier than normal signal across all of western Nevada and maybe brushing into parts of Idaho. So we don't see any relief in sight through there. Going further down the road, even into October, a dry signal across a good portion of the southwest, almost the entire Great Basin area. It is not until November that we start seeing hints of above normal precipitation, and this wetness in the Pacific Northwest going into Idaho and far northern sections of Nevada and Utah is sometimes a signal from the La Nina. Typically central and southern California and the southwest stays dry. Pacific Northwest and some of our portions of Nevada and Utah tend to have wetter winters, especially if the La Nina is more pronounced, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. But when we put all those pieces together for our outlook, what we see out here is that in August, we'll be looking at above normal conditions through a good portion of the area, except for maybe far northwestern Idaho, because up here they did get significant rainfall about 3 weeks previous to this forecast. They're still coming out of it. And when we go to September, we'll start trending towards normal. It may start above normal with existing fires, but typically with the longer nights and decreased lightning activity, it would be very difficult to conceive of anything other than normal season-ending conditions when you get towards the latter part of September. Now when we go to October and November, we expect to see normal conditions in all areas returning. That's the typical traditional end of fire season. And this is just for the Great Basin. If we go to the national scale and see how this plays out in August up here in September, you can see the trends across surrounding parts of the country. And then towards the end, as we slip out of fire season across the Great Basin, that of course sometimes is the fire season for the southern and eastern states. So summing things up, drought conditions continue in western Nevada. We had an above normal grass crop across the northern portion of the Great Basin earlier this spring into the early summer, which has cured out. El Nino's over, it becomes neutral with a trend towards La Nina weather conditions, starting off from late summer and into the fall. We do expect above normal fire potential in many northern areas in August, trending to normal in the latter half of September. Across our southern areas, the monsoon should kick most areas in southern Utah and southern Nevada and the Arizona Strip out of fire season probably immediately as we go into early August. And again, returning to normal low-end fire potential for October and November. This concludes our monthly and seasonal outlook. Our next outlook will be issued on the 1st of September.